Colombia is ready to embrace decentralized finance while also calling attention to new and existing risks surrounding the nascent technology. And joining us now is Jehudi Castro Sierra, Digital Transformation Advisor of Colombia. Welcome, Jehudi.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the show. So, Jehudi, decentralized finance essentially eliminates the need for banks and other financial institutions. You can automate loans, entire financial markets, and earn yields. So what are the socio-political circumstances that make this technology particularly attractive to Colombia?
Sure, we have been seeing the evolution of the crypto industry and also about DeFi, and we see a big potential there. Like for the people, there is a lot of people that is not on the banks that has not access for loans, for instance. So we see it as a potential opportunity. That's why we work with the World Economic Forum on the document that was released last week. And it's about exactly this. What are the opportunities, what are the risks, and what the regulators need to take into consideration in order to embrace this opportunity.
Right. So, Jehudi, Cipher traces more than 50% of fraud and cybercrime in crypto is from DeFi. Does that risk concern you?
It is a risk, but it's also like a talking point that we have been hearing a lot. But you need to take into consideration that also like cash or US dollars are used for crime. So this is not particular to the crypto industry. This is very important to point out. So it needs to be taken into consideration, but it's not specific to Bitcoin, for instance. We need still to do all the background checks and to take all the measures in order to make it safe.
So welcome to our show. I've been forwarding your report to all my friends in DeFi and people who keep asking me about DeFi. It lays out a very nice framework for how DeFi works. And towards the end, around page 20 or so, you start to list some of the things that regulators can do. What exactly can a regulator do in DeFi, given that it is decentralized by nature? And what policy, so in other words, what policy tools can they take, and which ones would you suggest that they absolutely should do?
This is a very important question. So in general, in Colombia, we don't regulate like by instinct. We only take decisions based on data. That's why the framework of the sandbox is so important. That's what we did for crypto. This is something that you at CoinDesk have reported already, how we are doing the sandbox for check-in and check-out of funds in order to buy crypto. And this is something that we think is possible to do also to DeFi. So the idea is to work hand in hand with the industry, with the regulator, in order to apaciguate those risks that may be happening there. It's true that it's decentralized, so maybe the answer is even deregulate, but we don't have the answers yet. We need to work it in a controlled environment, that will be the sandbox, and then according to the results, to the actual data, take the decision. What is important is that we are not going to ban it beforehand or to stop it as some countries may be doing regarding crypto as a whole. We see it as an opportunity, and we are welcoming the investment that can come from these industries.
So what benefit does a government have to encourage DeFi if it potentially comes at the expense of the financial institutions in that country?
The benefit is for the people, and not necessarily it means to go against the financial institutions, because in the case of Colombia, they have been quite open-minded about crypto, for instance. In the sandbox that we have for crypto, they are working with the banks. So it's not necessarily something against them. If they have the mindset the open mindset that we have been seeing, maybe is also an opportunity for them. They need to reinvent themselves, or someone else may do it for them. So the opportunity is for the people. That's what the government needs to look after. We need to look for the best benefit of the people.
Mm-hmm. So El Salvador has recently declared Bitcoin as legal tender. I would like to get your thoughts on that and whether or not you see Colombia following suit.
That's very interesting development. We are observing. We are interested in the document that they say they were going to open source called Bitcoin for Nations. So for sure, we are going to be looking into it. There are also some risks. So this is something that will not be, should not be doing like rushing. We need to take certain considerations, but definitely is something very interesting. We believe in general, like in Bitcoin, but some steps needs to be done before. Colombia, different than El Salvador, for instance, has its own currency. So the situation is quite different. But we are definitely looking at those developments.
Yeah, so we see here a lot of interest from Central American countries and Latin America. I wonder, what do you think is the future of the U.S. dollar if more countries like El Salvador and Latin America and, developing countries around the world, and this continues on to catch on, that more countries begin to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender? What will happen to the U.S. dollar?
It's important to point out that, for instance, El Salvador, they are saying that they are not moving away from the dollar. So the dollar continues to be legal tender. So probably in the long run, it's even good for the US dollar. So I don't see it the same as I say with the banks. It's not like a competition against the banks or against the dollar per se. This is something that is, if it's well thought, if the risks are taken care of, can be good for everyone.
So, of course, we can't talk about Colombia without mentioning some of the protests that have been happening because of economic policies from the administration. There's an old say, a relatively old saying for crypto: Bitcoin fixes this. So what does crypto fix for some of the protesters who are protesting right now the policies of the administration? What sort of thing that can you offer to say, hey, look, if we could get certain things through, perhaps some of your concerns will be dealt with?
The protest has some legitimate concerns because we just came from the pandemic. This hit our economy as everything around the world. Actually, Colombia was one of the countries where it was not hit so badly in Latin America. But as of any kind of investment, we see that it can bring more growth. More growth means more opportunities for the people, more employment. And these are some of the concerns that we have been hearing from mostly young people. And this is something that we are addressing. Crypto, Bitcoin can be part of the solution in the sense that they can see more opportunities for entrepreneurship, for instance, and also they can see more value on the assets that they hold.
All right. Jehudi, you tweeted out that you're very pleased to have contributed to the Decentralized Finance DeFi Policy Maker Toolkit from DeFi is a great opportunity, and Colombia is ready to embrace it. Perhaps you can go over, and Lawrence, mentioned it a bit in the earlier, but perhaps you could go through some of the key highlights from the report.
Yes, so this being a document that is intended to be a blueprint for the regulators and the countries that want to check out it, is very balanced. It doesn't take sides, but it shows what is DeFi, what are the risks, what are the opportunities, and what are the potential steps that a regulator may take. And we are decided like to go through this path in order to take this opportunity for us.
And so, what
of
are
all the paths? So, as I say, of all the paths, so which do you feel most comfortable with regards to Colombia?
What's that? More
of all the
comfortable
paths that
about?
you about implementing in Colombia.
Okay, it sounds like this is very new industry. So we first that I feel more comfortable is not ban it, as some countries may do just for fear of something that is not well known. So that's what I feel more comfortable. And the second will be just to gather the data from the industry working together with the regulator inside a sandbox, which is a protected environment in order to mitigate those risks. I think that's the important way to do it.
What part of DeFi do you think is not necessarily, hasn't been fully matured yet, or hasn't really grown the way you would like to see and you see opportunities in?
It's growing a lot, but still the industry is very new. I mean, and in the part where people might have more opportunities, for instance, is loans, access to some financial services that, especially in Latin America, is not accessible for everyone. So that's something that have been had some evolution this last year mostly, but there is a lot of room to grow still. That's why it's important to make it in a secure way.
Jehudi, you mentioned sandboxes. In El Salvador, we see Bitcoin Beach, where a community is experimenting with Bitcoin as micropayments in the community and seeing how that works. You know, in China, there's central bank digital currencies, and they're testing it in different cities. Do you see that happening in Colombia? And if so, when might that be implemented, and how would that look like?
That about the Bitcoin Beach in Salvador was very important for the step that they took after, because it was the actual implementation happening on the streets. So it was like a bottom-up adoption. So of course we are open to this kind of implementations here, and part of this is the sandbox that we already have around crypto. This will help to bring more adoption that is already happening. If you look in the volume that, for instance, local Bitcoin shows, Colombia is the third country in peer-to-peer Bitcoin volume, and this was before our sandbox. So this is going to be growing even further. And this will hopefully allow, but again, this is up to the entrepreneurs out there to bring these use cases that help people to use it with technology developments like Lightning. That was the key to achieve adoption in El Salvador. We see a lot of opportunities here, for sure.